and I look down and the oil pressure goes, oh no. So I was here not long ago doing a victory lap with me getting my ultimate dream car. Came here and patted myself on the back. Look at me, I got the 300 SL Gullwing. Aren't I cool? Well, anyway, I have blown the motor on this 300 SL, and it has been a dream car that has been a complete nightmare to own, and it is so sad. So just to briefly recap, our friend, the cultivated collector, Matt Ivanhoe, let me know that he had gotten a 300 SL Gullwing from an estate that had been sitting for a very long time. It didn't really run, but it was nicer than you would think for a car that's been sitting for a long time. And better yet, he was willing to take my Bugatti Veyron on trade, which was coming up on a year. And with the Bugatti Veyron, when a year comes up, that means service time. And I was not ready to do that. So I was definitely scared of the prospect of that. And there was some drama with it because he wanted to inspect the Veyron before, knowing it needed some service work. But unfortunately, it was leaking oil, coolant, and other things. He still took the deal. So Matt Ivanhoe, he is a god to me for still taking that car. And I think he held on to it for a while. And obviously, I timed things wrong and sell the car too soon. He holds the car for, 6 months or so. And Bugatti Veyrons had rapid appreciation because Ed, of course, held his car and still has it. So he knows what he's doing and I don't. But the Gullwing, it didn't matter. I was happy. I got my 300 SL Gullwing. We got it running at the Mercedes Classic Center again, went through, sorted out, put 1,000 miles on it, and it was actually, it did great for the trip. But they did tell me, and I didn't probably mention this in the video that much because I didn't want to really focus on the negative, that, hey, your compression numbers, they're a little, I mean, maybe it'll come back as you drive a little bit more, but it's something to watch. This is slightly concerning. And then on the trip itself, this car has a big dry sump, a big oil can basically, because of the way the engine is mounted. It is at a 45-degree angle to clear underneath the hood. So they couldn't do a traditional oil plant. That's why it has a dry sump system and a big tank, I think around 10 quarts. We had to top off that giant tank maybe twice on this 1,000-mile trip. So that's probably 10 plus quarts in 1,000 miles, something like that. So that's a lot of oil. But I ignored that. I mean, the tailpipe was black. My bumper was black, from all the oil that it was eating. But I tell you what, rather than maybe sorting that all out, why don't we put a sport cam on it? That was my bright idea. And part of it was precipitated by the fuel system, which at some point, this 300 SL Gullwing got swapped with a Roadster's injection pump. And on the Roadsters, they got the sport cam and an extra 30 horsepower. So when Nate realized this at the Classic Center, the shop manager, he said, well, you can go one of two ways. You can have this remapped, your injection pump, to be right for the cam of the 300 SL Gullwing, which is 30 less horsepower. And that's, I don't remember exactly, $3,000 or $4,000. Or for $5,000, we can just swap it to a sport cam and you can have an extra 30, 40 horsepower. So for an extra $1,000, extra 30, 40 horsepower, same as the Roadsters. It's not like I'm super hot rodding the engine. So, duh. Yeah, of course. So that's what we did on a questionable engine is, hopped up the cam. Great. And that's the first thing that I do with it once it comes back. It gets shipped to Miami and show it at Moto Miami. It looks all cool. And then go take it out on the track and drive the heck out of it, trying to keep up with modern Mercedes. And it does fine. It actually felt okay on the track, and I had a lot of fun. And then shipped it back to Kansas and really didn't drive it a whole lot, just a little bit around town here and there. But the thing about the 300 SL Gullwing is that large oil capacity. It takes a long time for the oil to come up to temperature before you can drive it hard. And you really don't, with the fuel system that's direct injection, it's the first mass-produced car that's direct injection, you don't want to do little short trips, 5-minute trips to the shop, because the fuel contamination, all that stuff, you want the car to warm up. So, if you're going to drive it, it needs to be at least maybe a half-hour occasion of actually warming this thing up and then taking it somewhere significant, not just like a pop over to dinner for 10 minutes. So the occasion did present itself because I live about an hour away from McPherson College. And that is the premier automotive restoration school in the country. At the time, when I was in college, I really wanted to go there. But this college is now a 4-year program. They have an incredible show every year. It is a big deal in Kansas. This is probably the biggest car show in Kansas, and they really wanted me to bring the Gullwing up there. So I put my 6-year-old in the passenger seat, and we hit the road about an hour, about 60 miles from my home to McPherson College. They had saved a spot for me next to, I think, a Tucker and a Duesenberg. right there on the lawn, and I didn't make it. So, as I was cruising down the highway, going about 80 miles an hour, I went to pass a truck, and the person that was already in the fast lane didn't like seeing this old car making a pass and maybe impeding his whatever speed he was going. And so he floored it to make me feel intimidated that I was slowing him down. A very Texas truck thing to do, where they floor it to make it seem like it's more dramatic that you're cutting them off. But this is the world's first supercar, so I wanted to go, watch this. Put the hammer down, floored it. So, somewhere around six-figure speeds, I won't say exactly. I was cruising, he was gone, and something in the car, it just went, ugh. And it was not good. I don't know if it was a ping or if that was the bearing in the bottom end of the engine finally saying, it's time to go. I'm tired, boss. This is it. So immediately I felt that. It felt like it was down on power, and I looked down, and the oil pressure goes, oh no. The thing is, I had not checked the oil before I left, but I knew not that long ago I had checked the oil. So I thought, if I ran this car out of oil and it's self-inflicted and this is my fault, I'm never going to forgive myself. Because not only have I killed the motor on this car being stupid, I almost ripped the door off putting it in my house for Christmas. Look at me, I have a Gullwing, let me put it in my living room next to the Christmas tree, and then pushed it out and almost ripped the door off of the thing. But also, that 1,000-mile road trip, I cost myself another 20 or 30 grand because I drove with a parking brake on for 50 miles and ruined these very expensive, brand new, I should mention, drum brakes that were just replaced because the braking system had just been gone through on this car. So this is the third strike. But I also had my 6-year-old in the car, so I didn't pull over immediately. The exit was less than a mile away. So I was just above idle, just to get it to the exit. And went down and then shut it off. And checked the oil. It was full of oil. Went to start it back up. The noises were unbelievable. I knew the motor was gone. It was sickening, especially after spending so much money getting this car running and going and sorted again. I knew I was in for another huge hit. Also, fixing the door and the cost of all that stuff. But the silver lining in all of this, where I broke down, I have a tow truck driver. This was in Newton, Kansas, where the car wizard is. This is where the car decided to die, in Newton, Kansas, 3 miles away from the wizard shop. And I called up the local tow truck guy, Dennis. I said, Dennis, where are you at? He said, I am at the Quick Trip at this exit. He was there fueling up to where I literally broke down where he was. Like he just had to pull out, go around this roundabout, and back up to me. It was less than a minute to have this car collected. I called the car wizard and told him the situation because he never wanted that car in his shop. But I told him, we got to make a video about this. So can it sit in there for the weekend? Because the car is valued above, like double what his insurance is for any kind of liability. So he doesn't like cars this expensive in his shop. But I was like, hey, we're not going to work on it. We're just gonna look at things. I will pull the oil screen off because this thing doesn't have an oil filter. It's just an old school screen, and see what glitter comes out, all that stuff. Like I will do it because I know you don't want to touch the car. We'll make a video. And he's like, okay, fine. I just don't want anybody else touching it. I don't want anything happening to it. So that's what we did, and it was obvious that the motor was toast. But I didn't know how toast it was because I just put a brand new sport cam in there. It was $5,000. So did it get to the top end and starve that up and mess it up? I just didn't know as far as the Classic Center, sending it back to them because they don't have a machine shop in-house. So when I told them what had happened, they said, yeah, we don't do the machining. We send it to a different outfit that is famous for building like Singer Porsche engines, a lot of racing engines and things. I'm sure is one of the best machinists in the nation, but also the most expensive by far. So this would be another 6-figure prospect to rebuild the engine. And as much as I love the Classic Center, all that stuff, and they do help me out with all this to where it's not as painful as a normal full retail rate. Being the world's poorest Gullwing owner, they take some pity on me. I just knew I can't do this. So we're very fortunate here in the Atlanta area to have DC Motor Works and Cameron, who's been along with us for Car Trek at this point and saved Ed on so many cars, including his Lamborghinis and things. Like he had worked on Lamborghinis before and got talked into it by Ed, and now is doing heavy engine work on Lamborghinis, and manual swaps is now what he's famous for with Mercedes, AMGs particularly. And he was very eager to tackle this Gullwing, and he actually had a tech here that has Gullwing experience. Not only that, he went to high school with the guy that runs his local machine shop that he works very closely with. So he's very comfortable with the guy and can be in there and oversee everything. And it is a very simple car as far as something in the 50s. So there's nothing crazy as far as the engineering in this car to make it difficult to rebuild as anything from, the 50s or the 60s. So it's very straightforward in that sense. It's just the parts. And that is where we are today. Unfortunately, I just come from DC Motor Works, and he has gathered up all the parts for my rebuild. And it's as spicy as you would think. Piston, this is an inline 6-cylinder. They're $1,000 each. $6,000 for the pistons. The oil pump, which is what we believe has killed this motor, basically all gummed up and ruined and basically starved it for oil because it was just sludged up, $3,500. The parts are not difficult, not impossible to find, but they know now that this is a multi-million-dollar car and are pricing it appropriately. So same with that sport cam. That was the biggest heartbreaker. Unfortunately, the most ruined thing on that engine is the sport cam that got only 300 miles on it before it died. So they're going to try and save it, but it is pretty scored up. Actually more scored up than the rod bearing that left the chat as far as on the crankshaft there and everything else. That actually looked better than this cam on top. And we can't really figure out why, other than oil passages getting gummed up or whatever, because this engine did sit for a long time. And even though it was consuming a lot of oil and had 2 oil changes, there was just a lot of sludge built up in there. And also, when they pulled out that piston, it had a broken ring as well, which would lead to low compression and maybe a lot of the oil consumption itself. So, did I know in the back of my mind that this was going to happen eventually based on the initial assessment of the Classic Center? Yes. Did I hope I was going to have a bit more time to enjoy the car before another very expensive failure? Yes, but that's not how it worked out. And I should have known better. I mean, 10 years of Hoovie's Garage, I started this channel based on one endless calamity after another. So of course, when I get my ultimate dream car, this is exactly what happens. But now, once the engine is rebuilt, I'm very confident with Cameron's work, and also the transmission getting resealed, because the transmission was actually pouring out more fluid than the engine itself, which had some pretty serious oil leaks. It should be a sorted car. It should. And then if it breaks again, it'll be totally my fault, which is certainly possible. Do I deserve this car? No, but I'm still just pinching myself that I own a 300 SL Gullwing. And the really big cherry on top of all of this, speaking of my wife, she did for my 40th birthday get me summer seats, which in the 300 SL Gullwing, they have the leather seats, and then in the summer, there's these beautiful plaid seats that you can put into where you can sweat into those. It's a little more comfortable. And she had those made especially for me at the Classic Center, and I'm very excited that I can get the car back and put that in. And I'm getting goosebumps because I can't believe that I own a 300 SL Gullwing, even though it has been a disaster.
The Ticket Clinic just launched a brand new podcast, so click the bubble on your screen or the link in the description to subscribe now and get all of Mark Gold's great expertise. And of course, the Ticket Clinic is still here to fight a ticket no matter where you get one. So check them out now to thank them for their support of VINwiki and fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.